Last year, 853 migrants died crossing illegally into this country. That's almost 3 a day. That's almost 3 a day. You go down to the southern border, you go down to Texas, and you see photograph after photograph that Texas farmers and ranchers are finding of dead bodies on their property. Many of my colleagues here have been down there with me, have seen the elderly people the human traffickers have abandoned, have seen the pregnant women the human traffickers have abandoned, have seen the infants and toddlers left to die. When you go down to the border and you look at the children who've been brutalized, just about all of us here are parents. I will tell you, when you look in the eye of a little girl or a little boy who's been abused by traffickers, and you see it, you see the pain, you see the agony of children trapped in sex trafficking.
There is a war on children right now, and people need to wake up that we can solve this, but not with the current situation that's happening right now.
We got an unaccompanied minor right here, guys. This is heartbreaking right here. ¿Vienes sola, verdad? ¿Ahí viene tu mami y tu papá?
No, mi papá está en el cielo.
¿Tu papi está en el cielo? ¿Y tu mami?
Ah, ya sé.
¿Con quién viniste, mija?
Mira, sola.
¿Viniste sola? ¿Cuántos años tienes?
10.
¿10 años? ¿De dónde vienes?
De Honduras.
¿De Honduras? ¿Cuánto tiempo llevas viajando, mi reina?
So,
5 días?
there the unaccompanied minors are right behind me. ¿Cuántos años tiene? 12. 14. ¿Cuántos años tiene? 15. 14, 15 y 17. 17. ¿De dónde? ¿México? ¿Guatemala? Guatemala.
When you take a look at the numbers of people who are showing up at our borders now, I have to go back to what Senator Graham said. They're mind-boggling. It is impossible to explain. The number of encounters of unaccompanied children by the Border Patrol since 2008. It's an incredible list. But the last 3 years are the most amazing revelations. In the year 2020, there were 19,657 unaccompanied children who were encountered at the border. 19,000. 2021, 140,000. 2022, 149,000. 2023, 131,000. The obvious question is, what changed to change so dramatically during that period of time?
Let me tell you, the law is that if you're from Canada and Mexico and you show up as an unaccompanied minor, we can literally send you home unless there's some evidence of trafficking. The reason it's gone up 312% is if you're from a non-contiguous nation, other than Mexico or Canada, we have to keep you. Word is out all over the world that if you get here as an unaccompanied minor and you're not from Mexico and Canada, the United States, you'll be here forever.
¿Qué es lo que quieres hacer cuando seas grande tú? ¿Mande?
Could you just walk us through the process of the child from the wall all the way to where they eventually go?
So the first step is they're actually lured by people who are trying to take advantage of them.
Entonces le pagan a alguien para que traiga el transporte.
Sí, ahí hay unos días como papas, porque si no aquí te dejo que te mueras de hambre. Y abordan la bestia, el tren ese, no.
¿Ellos solitos?
No, ven la gente.
Señor Pérez, ¿cómo usted sabe que eso es lo que está pasando?
Porque mira uno todo eso todos los días, mire.
Miss Director Marcos, Linda Brandmiller, do you know that name? And keep your mic on.
I'm aware of that name.
You're aware of that name. And Jaylyn Sulong, you know that name?
Yes.
Okay, and you know that both of these women were whistleblowers. And both of these women were fired for being a whistleblower.
The New York Times documented that Susan Rice, the domestic policy advisor for the Biden administration, and that Secretary Becerra, who's head of the Health and Human Services, both were made aware of these 85,000 attempts to contact sponsors with no avail, and did nothing in response. Do you know if in fact the President of the United States was informed about these facts?
Senator, I'd like to set the record straight that although a call was not picked up,
do you know if the President of the United States was made aware of the report in the New York Times about 85,000 unanswered wellness checks 30 days after the child was placed with the sponsor? Did the President of the United States know that?
It is so recklessly crazy on the part of HHS. I mean, there's no excuse. There's no explanation for this.
Yeah, there is no explanation except that it is a multi-billion-dollar operation annually. Your average viewer and most people just do not understand that there are evil people in the world who view children as commodities.
Right.
ORR is the site that runs this company and every other shelter that is here in the Valley and upstate.
They give annually over $6 billion for this one program.
Es the Offices of Refugee Resettlement. Los albergues son independientes del gobierno.
Entonces mi niño ahorita no está con el gobierno.
Sí.
We're taking children from the border. We're then delivering them to people who they don't even know.
Officials at the unaccompanied shelters would tell us that children were being transferred to what they were calling sponsors.
¿Por qué iría con alguien que no fuera la mamá o el papá? O sea, también pueden ir con los familiares.
Es un patrocinador, son simplemente alguien que lo puede asistir aquí en los Estados Unidos.
A foster parent, they're going to have to prove income. They're going to have to prove they're not a criminal. In the case of the unaccompanied children, none of that proof is required.
Isn't it a fact that there's no mandatory FBI criminal background check system on those sponsors?
Every sponsor goes through a sex offender registry check and
I didn't ask about that. I asked about an FBI criminal background check. There's no...
Certain sponsors have an FBI background check.
But not all of them.
That is correct.
You don't ask if the sponsor is here legally. You don't check in the sponsor's home country if the person is not originally from the United States to see if they are wanted there for a crime or have been convicted there of a crime. You don't come with local law enforcement. You seldom, if ever, do any kind of a home visit. If they don't answer the phone after a month or so, then you consider your job done. Let me tell you what's happening to them, because clearly you either don't know or you're not saying. They're being trafficked for sex.
Anytime we have a flag for a child in our care, we make a referral.
The official ORR verification release form indicates the sponsor is unrelated. The discharge form indicates the sponsor is his aunt. But it's not just a discrepancy. Tara Rodas witnessed her colleagues at HHS tell her that it didn't matter that children were sent to addresses flagged for sexual abuse. That it didn't matter that children were sent to addresses flagged for sexual abuse.
When I brought that we were going to be sending another child to the same address, I was told, Tara, we only get sued if we keep kids in care too long. We don't get sued by traffickers.
Yeah, that one. At least 5 HHS staff members said they were pushed out after raising concerns about child safety. Mr. Becerra, the secretary, told the ORR director, that's you, right, that if she could not increase the number of discharges, he would find someone who could. And then he went on to say that if Henry Ford had run his plants like this, he would never have become famous and rich. This is not the way you do an assembly line. Get the kids out, run them through, get them out to those sponsors, those traffickers.
After Tara revealed this, the crisis of conscience was now at a boiling point. A whistleblower with access to the unaccompanied child database portal revealed this never-before-seen document indicating ORR sending this child to abusers over and over and over and over again. And in fact, the document proved the government knew the child had been identified as a victim of sex trafficking.
Most people just do not understand that there are evil people in the world who view children as commodities.
Right.
And they are using them for labor trafficking schemes, for sex trafficking schemes, and worse, because drugs are sold one-time use for the person who is selling drugs. Yeah, they get money for it, but they sell it once. When you have a child, you get to use them on a daily basis, multiple times a day. And it's a continual source of revenue.
Recently, in a hearing, the secretary was asked about vetting. He revealed that, well, we actually don't even ask if they're legally in the country.
Why aren't they asking if they're legal?
The more vetting they do, the more slow the process is, and you can't move 500,000 children in 3 years if you're asking a lot of questions.
Here's a quote from the April 17th installment. Again and again, veteran government staffers and outside contractors told HHS, including reports that reached the secretary, that children appeared to be at risk. Did you warn the secretary that children were at risk?
Senator, I'm in regular contact with the secretary. And
Did you warn him that children were at risk?
Safety and well-being of children is our top priority.
Did you warn him that children were at risk?
I'm not going to get into the conversations I've had.
You're here and you're under oath, and this is an oversight hearing, and we need to know what you're doing because you're manifestly not doing your job. Did you warn him that children were at risk? Do you believe that children are at risk? Let's start with that.
Yes.
Okay. Did you warn the secretary?
Senator, I'm not going to get into the specifics of my conversation, but
A young girl who arrived at the border in the custody of individuals claiming to be her family was bruised, disoriented, and in pain. Medical examinations revealed that she had been raped, yet she was sent back to her abusers because no verification was done to confirm her guardianship. This is not an isolated case, but a glaring failure of the system, leaving children in the hands of those who exploit them.
We're just worried because there are reports that 1 out of 10 get raped or trafficked. That's what my concern.
It's our concern as well. So.
I know you're just trying to do your job.
Yes, sir.
That's tough.
Yeah, it's not easy. So.
Yeah.
Especially when you have a little 3-year-old girl walk up to you.
3-year-old girls? By herself? Yeah. Here? That must be hard to deal with, man. I'm sorry to hear that.
Especially, I'm a father of, I got 3 kids myself, and you see that stuff, it's not easy.
Last week I had a 3-year-old come up, and all he had was a paper sewed into his shirt. Address and phone number were wrong. As a parent, I don't like seeing that. It makes me get closer to my kids.
It's James OKeefe.
Oh, okay. How you doing?
Good, good. Yeah, my buddy said there was an unaccompanied child that you guys just picked up.
Yeah, we got a few, like 3 that we had earlier.
Trafficked?
Yeah, they're gone already.
Trafficked children?
Yeah.
Can you give us any idea how many of the 430,000 children who have entered our country under the Biden administration have been trafficked either en route or after they leave your care? Any idea at all? Any rough estimate at all? Any approximation of how many of them?
Senator, 1 is 1 too many. I don't have those numbers in front of me, but anytime we have a flag for a child in our care, we make a referral.
The crisis of conscience would only grow and reach inside the holy grail of the unaccompanied child transportation business, a private contractor called MVM.
Within the last 9 months, MVM has received over $129 million from the Department of Homeland Security, $719 million from DHS. Overall, there's the white buses right there. That's the FedEx transportation hub for the unaccompanied minor children.
Use the ICE database to input the information of the kids going from shelter to shelter, and we communicate with the TSs who actually make the trips.
What does TSs mean?
The transport specialists. They're the ones that actually go and pick up the kids and take them from shelter to shelter.
They stopped the transportation of children, they stopped the money.
A whistleblower inside MVM provided us an email written by the site manager stating that, quote, transportation specialists were taking the liberty of accepting alternative documents without federal field specialist approval. Alternative documents in exchange for unaccompanied children?
I cannot in good conscience tell you that money will fix this.
This program needs to be dramatically revamped, and law enforcement needs to be put back into the equation. This is going to take a strong executive, but they can absolutely today begin rescuing children. Today, they could begin prosecuting criminal sponsors and traffickers. Today, they could begin to dismantle these criminal elements.
Mr. Holman, I'm a father. Do you have children? How can you possibly allow this to happen under your watch? Do you not care? Is it because these children don't look like children that are around you? I don't get it. Have you ever held a deceased child in your arms?
First of all, your comments are disgusting. I've served my country.
I've
served my country for 34 years.
I find your comments
this is out of
disgusting
control.
as well.
I've served my country for 34 years. And yes, I held a 5-year-old boy in my arms in the back of that tractor trailer. I knelt down beside him and said a prayer for him because I knew what his last 30 minutes of his life were like. And I had a 5-year-old son at the time. What I've been trying to do my 34 years serving my nation is to save lives. So for you to sit there and insult my integrity and my love for my country and for children, that's why this whole thing needs to be fixed. And you're the member of Congress.
We agree on that.
Fix it.
We have to get serious about this problem at the border. Mr. Holman, you're clearly an expert. What can Congress do to fix this problem?
They can close loopholes in asylum to make it meaningful. They can change the TVPRA where children in Mexico are, the children of Central America are treated the same way as children in Mexico. Once it's ascertained they're not a victim of trafficking, they can be removed. And they need to change the Florida Settlement Agreement. And I'm sitting here, and let me explain to you why I'm sitting here so frustrated. Because I'm the only one in this room that's wore a green uniform and been on that line. I'm the only one in this room that found dead aliens on a trail that were abandoned by smugglers who just left them there because they weren't worth any money anymore. I'm the only one in this room that stood in the back of a tractor trailer surrounded by 19 dead aliens, including a 5-year-old little boy that suffocated in death in his father's arms. I was there, and I saw it, and I smelled it, and it's terrible. And I still have nightmares to this day. I was in Phoenix, Arizona when you couldn't pay the smuggling fees. You were tortured. One person was stabbed in the face 22 times because you couldn't pay a smuggling fee. And we keep talking about open borders, abolish ICE, let's not detain anybody, let's let everybody go. That entices more people to come.
Exactly.
This isn't just about enforcing laws, it's about saving lives. I found enough dead bodies in my day. I got a stack of dead bodies here. I've seen a lot of pictures today, but no one wants to see these pictures. Because they're angel moms and dads. These children were died here at the hands of people that crossed the border because we have an open border. The more we entice people to make this journey, more women, 31% of women are being raped. Children are dying. And I said months ago, if we don't close the loopholes, more women will be raped, more children will die. But it's like no one's listening.
Well, Mr. Holman,
we can fix this, sir. We can fix this. There's 3 things we can do to fix this. In Congress, if they don't like what ICE and CBP do, then do your job. Fix it. Congress has failed American people for 3 decades. I've been doing this job and fixing this. They'd rather point to the men and women of the border, to the men and women of ICE who have an American flag on their shoulder and serve their nation. I'm extremely frustrated because what I've seen today is misleading the American people. People are dying, not in ICE custody. If you compare people that died in ICE custody to every state, federal system, we got the lowest rate. We got a hell of a lot lower rate than the city of New York. But no one wants to talk about this. We need to save lives. We need to secure our borders. Nothing wrong with this. There's nothing wrong with a secure border.